Welcome back to another SCBWI featured illustrator interview. My name is Tamika Grooms, and I'm the Design and Illustration Manager for SCBWI. Every month, we select an Illustrator member to spotlight on the SCBWI website and social media pages to highlight the work that they're doing in the children's illustration market. This month's featured illustrator is Ashley Belote. Ashley, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so happy you could be here today. And I have been watching your work for a little while now, and a lot of times it's just figuring out how we're going to place and when we're going to place people's artwork on the website. So I'm glad I finally got a chance to talk with you today and feature your artwork on the SCBWI homepages and everywhere else. So thank you for talking with me today.
Oh, absolutely. I am honored to be chosen for this. And I love SCBWI, and I love that you all feature a different illustrator every month. It's really special for us, but it also just celebrates the illustrator community in general. So, on behalf of all illustrators, we really appreciate this kind of recognition.
Yeah, yeah. And especially in picture books, illustrators do so much of the heavy lifting. I think it's important for us to get just a little bit of shine too. So a lot of times we're in the background, doing the artwork, and then the authors take it on the road. But today we have the opportunity to also speak with a person who is an author illustrator. So let's start there.
Okay.
Ashley, how did you get into writing and illustrating children's books? What made you decide to do both? Because I know a lot of times sometimes we shift into one direction or the other.
Right.
It might be
Mhm.
because of our strengths or weaknesses. It might be because we just want to do one thing or the other. So,
Mhm.
how did you start on your journey as both an author and an illustrator?
Yeah, so I have wanted to be an illustrator in particular since day one. I can't remember a time in my life when I didn't want to do this for my job when I grew up. So I have been, working towards this for my entire life, which makes it even more fun that it's finally happening right now. And so I grew up drawing, and I was like the art kid in the class, and how there's always the art kid or art kids. And I feel like artists, we're so fortunate because we know from an early age that this is, what we love to do and a lot of us are meant to do. And so I really used my art to help my writing improve. I really lean on my art for a lot of things in my life in general, but in particular, it really helped my writing grow. So, right after college, I studied art all through college. I did a class through Simmons College outside of Boston, and I got to study at the Eric Carle Museum of Picture Book Art. And it was an amazing class with Megan Dowd Lambert, who was amazing. And it was the whole book approach. And I walked in the first day to the Eric Carle Museum, and we got to have our class in the library there, which was so cool. I walked in, and the first book that I saw, it was, I just walked in, and I tried to go into this whole experience with an open mind, which is how I like to view my book projects now too. So I walked into the library, and this pink spine of this book caught my eye, and I pulled it out, and it was Molly Idle's Flora and the Flamingo. And I opened it up, and I just like, in that moment, I was like, this will happen. And so from there, I really started to work on story. You have sometimes you have this talent to draw or to write, but you've really got to learn the craft too. So that's where SCBWI came in. I had taken creative writing classes. I was a creative writing minor. And so my art and story had always gone hand in hand, but taking that class at the Eric Carle and then working through SCBWI really helped me hone my craft and learn how to structure a story for my target audience. So, like I said, I've been in it to win it since day one, and I'm absolutely thrilled that I'm finally able to do this as my full-time job.
Nice, absolutely. That's quite a story. That's quite a story. And I'm glad that you shared it because it's not an overnight thing.
No.
For most people, even if we think it's overnight, it's not overnight. It's always a process to getting to wherever
Yes.
you're getting to. And honestly, I think we're always going to be on the path of creating books and publications. So,
Yeah.
and you're always going to get better and keep going anyway. So, but thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I talk to people all the time who ask me, like, how do I take this talent for art and put
Hmm.
it into a book? But
Hmm.
you really do have to learn the process. And you mentioned the whole book process, and that essentially just means that you're learning how to explain that, because I think I
Yeah.
have, but I want you to explain it for the people.
Yeah. So for me, everybody has a different process, which is another part of our industry that I love because two people do not make books the exact same way. It's just not going to happen. So for me and my process for creating a whole book, I will generally start with a character sketch or just a character drawing. I always have my sketchbook with me, typical artist, typical illustrator. And I get these random ideas like at the grocery store or, like at the airport, just like random ideas. So I write them down and draw them out. But I'm such a visual person. I'm a visual learner. So I really can't fully understand something unless I see somebody work out the problem or see somebody demonstrate for me how I'm supposed to do something. So I've always been very reliant on visuals to teach me and to learn from. So I start with a character because I really can't write a story about a character that I can't see because I need that for my imagination. So again, because I'm visual, I get this character idea and I kind of walk through what this character likes and what kind of like mischief they could get into. And from there, I'll do a couple spot illustrations. And my thing is humor. I love to laugh, and my goal is to make my audiences laugh. So I will draw a few funny things with this character, making a joke or falling or doing something silly. And then that starts the wheels turning of a story. I typically try to kind of ping pong back and forth. So I'll draw for a little bit and then I'll write for a little bit. And then, I'll do one of those jobs until I get stuck, and then I'll switch and do the other job for a while.
Mhm.
And then I'll get stuck again. But by that time, I can go back and I'll be unstuck from the previous issue. So I really kind of create my whole book simultaneously with writing and with drawing.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I'm stealing that, just so you know.
Go for it.
I've been struggling to write and to illustrate. I'm just talking about
Uh-huh.
me right now, but I've been
Go for it.
struggling, and I know I can write, but
Yes.
sometimes it's that push and pull and being able to see what it is that's I think is in my mind and really getting it fleshed out.
It's
So
hard.
it,
It's
it is
hard.
very
It
hard.
is. It is. And it never works the same way twice either.
Yeah.
Like it's not like I will spend 1 hour drawing and then 1 hour writing. No, it's like sometimes I spend like one day drawing and 10 minutes writing or vice versa. You just have to, again, go into it with an open mind, but that really works for me. So I'm sure it'll work for you too.
Yeah. And it seems like you stay playful with it as well. And maybe
Yes.
that also shows up in your artwork too.
Hmm. It
Yeah.
does. I really started to find success when I stopped trying to make things that I thought other people wanted.
Mm.
It's impossible to please everybody, so why don't you just start by pleasing yourself? And when I stopped trying to like write or, draw to the trends of things, I was like, I've lived, a good chunk of life so far. I've got stories, I've got ideas. Why not tell my stories? Because I love reading other people's stories and seeing the art that's created from those experiences. And I'm like, I've got, years of things to pull from. So, I'm just going to make finally what I want to make. And that was really kind of the trick that did it.
Mm. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So how many books do you have behind you now?
Yes, I have 8 books out now, which is so fun because they're so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and you learn something new with every single book too. There's like, there's always these weird like random problems that you get in a book, like where am I going to place this chicken on this page? This is driving me nuts. And like, those are the kinds of things I deal with during the day, which is excellent.
Look, you could be dealing with other things that we don't want to deal with, so chickens are okay.
100%. I'll take it. I will take a chicken problem. Yes.
That's so funny. And so do you get your inspiration from anything specifically, like chickens? I don't know.
I think chickens are hilarious. I do. So I work a lot with animals. Like a lot of the characters in my books are animals. One of my favorites was Sheepwrecked that came out last summer. I take a lot of my inspiration from, like I was saying, my own life, my childhood in particular, and then my thoughts and feelings from that time in my life. And I honestly feel like I've never left. Like I still feel like Ashley, who grew up in Terra Alta, West Virginia, who's 8 years old. Like I, I don't feel like I've ever really left that time. So I grew up around, tons of nature. I had a sheep farm. So I got to see animals all the time, and I was playing outside all the time and having these, great adventures, both in person, like, actual adventures, but also just like my imagination took me on all these adventures. And I didn't really realize at the time, but I was writing like these stories for my future. And it's just really special, especially working with animal characters, because they're such good sports. They never
Yeah.
complain. They're so great all the time. You can make them do anything and they're like, yeah, I'll try it. So, yeah, animals are just, I mean, they are just hysterical. They have such big personalities. And I think that's why I'm gravitating towards them so much, because they really, they're up for anything. So let's go.
That's so funny. I think you're infusing some of your energy onto the animal characters too. I don't
I
know.
hope so.
Yeah.
I hope.
Oh gosh. Okay, so let's take a look at some of your artwork. And then I want you to talk more about your book. So hold on one moment. All right, everybody. So this is Ashley's website, and we're just gonna scroll through a few of the images, and I'll also show you the one that we're featuring today. Um, this one is one of the ones we considered, which I really loved. Seems like so much fun creating this too. Is this from a book?
It is, yes, that is from my picture book called Don't Wash Winston, right back there.
Uh-huh.
It's about a little kid, Liam, who is afraid to put his favorite teddy bear named Winston into the big, loud, scary washing machine. It's a big thing. This is
Yeah.
definitely like, it's the story itself is very much like autobiographical because it's about me.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
never wanted my mom to wash my bear ever, no matter what. And I took this bear everywhere, college, everywhere.
Mhm.
And actually, when I was studying at the Eric Carle Museum, this was the very first book idea that I ever had. And it came with the title, Don't Wash Winston, about this kid who's afraid to wash his bear. So this concept was so loyal to me because it took about 10 years. It was really, that's about how long it took for me to get my career where I was in a place to start pitching my own books. And this was one of the first ones that I pitched, and it deserves to be a book so much. It has been through the ringer. It has been through so many rewrites, workshops, the whole nine. And I'm very, very, very happy for it that it is finally a book. So,
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for talking about the work that goes into stories. So, because sometimes it takes a while for one story, a picture book, 500 words
yes,
or less to come alive. So
yes.
it takes time sometimes. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. But I'm also
Mhm.
glad that you got a story out that is so true to you that other kids, children are also going to,
Yes,
yeah, we're all big kids, so I'm gonna claim
we
that.
are. We
Yeah,
are.
all the kids out there, including us, can
Yes,
relate to. And I'm going to tell
yes.
you something. I just watched my bear that I had from when I was 5 years old. I still have that
Mhm.
bear, so I can relate to this story.
That thrills me. I love that. Thank goodness.
Sleep with it. It's in the closet, but I was like, let me just take it out and just wash it up a little bit.
Good
So,
for very brave
all
and very.
right, let's go on to the next one instead of talk about my personal life. Go ahead. Okay. I'm just gonna scroll on through these.
Sure. Yeah, I've got several up from Don't Wash Winston because this is some of my favorite art that I've made. I'm so attached to this book in a lot of different ways, but like the making the art for this one was so fun because the color was exciting and I love like curved lines and like
Yeah.
mud splatters and water splatters. And when I was in my fine art program in undergrad, I would draw smoke a lot because it has those same kind of lines. And I don't know, I've just always been fascinated with like curves and splatters and splashes. So there were so many opportunities for, I was like, yes, I'm going to make them make mud pies and we're going to draw some mud and it's going to be great. So I really just loved working on it. So I love to share these pieces for sure.
Your work is very dynamic. That's what I noticed when I was scrolling through all the different ones and
Oh,
looking at
thank
some of your
you.
book covers. It's very dynamic. So, in my experience of doing my own art, I tend to like lines and movement
Yes.
and those type of things too.
Hmm.
So your work feels like it's very animated to me, even though there's
Thank
still
you.
images. So
I
yeah.
appreciate that very much. That's one of my big things is I want it to be exciting. And with
Oh,
some of these, I try to push my perspective. Looking down on characters, looking in rooms at angles. That's something that I don't typically do just naturally. I have to kind of, remind myself to do those things. So that's something that I've been working on over the past few years. These with this little girl is from my Halloween book, Witch and Wombat, which was so fun to work on. Oh my gosh. And again, like this one, I do have a few kid characters, which I also love. I love like spunky, fun kids who like, you know, do fun things on their own. And this one, getting to pair a witch with a wombat was like so much fun. Again, my animal thing, and just loved it. And I love like, so this like underground scene, I love like nighttime scenes or like scenes that happen in the dark, underground. I don't know. There's just something like, I don't know. It's just something fun and different. So I try to incorporate, different times of day and different places in the books too, so that the art can kind of change and offer something different as you move through the story.
hmm I just had a thought around that and I lost it. So I'm gonna keep going. I'll probably come back to it. Oh my
Definitely.
goodness. Um, I love your underground nighttime darker
Thank
scenes
you.
too.
Thank you.
There's a lot of richness in it.
Thank
Um,
you.
and the mystery of children not really being underground, gives them
Yes,
something different. That's a different perspective as well.
it is. And that's why our jobs are so fun because we get to explore these unexplored places visually. So yeah, anything to make it interesting and fun for kids to look at. That's the ticket.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so you play around with light a lot as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. As artists, you said this earlier, we're not like when we learn something, we're never done.
Mhm.
There's so much to learn, and we should constantly challenge ourselves and push ourselves to get better and better. And that's what I try to do with perspective and lighting and, with spot illustrations like these, playing with different angles and seeing your character move and change. That's something that I think illustrators in general, we should all kind of be conscious of is, are we pushing our art? And with books, that's a wonderful opportunity to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is the illustration that we're featuring for today. I want to learn more about this, and then I have lots more questions, and then we'll tie this thing up. So tell me about this
Perfect.
illustration.
I loved working on this piece. So this is a piece, I got to do a banner for the American Library Association conference last year, and I wanted to feature like love your library was my theme because, the library is so important. And for me, I grew up in a really, really small town. We had a library, and they are so supportive of me now. They have me do story times, and I love the library, and I loved going to the library because it was magical. Like, you walked in and they had these great windows, and there was this huge area, and you could just take books and you just go and you sit and you read. And they have these big long tables, and you can spread the books out. I mean, it just, every time I went there, I had fun, and it smelled good. And so I wanted to create an illustration that was kind of an artistic manifestation of how I feel when I enter the library. And this is how I feel when I enter the library still. When
Yeah.
I go back to my childhood library, I feel this way. Anytime I walk into a library, I feel like this is what the shelves look like. I'm seeing the books, but I'm seeing beyond the books. I'm seeing, the dragons come out, and I'm seeing the magic and the wonder and the mystery. And I am I am one of these kids. This is my reaction every time I come in, and that's how you want kids to feel when they walk into the library too. You want them to see these things just coming out of the shelves, and for them to just pick a book and sit there and get engrossed into these imaginative spaces. So this is my ode to my love of the library.
Yeah, yeah. I feel that way about libraries too.
I'm
So
so
I guess
glad.
we're good people.
We are,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, I want you all to definitely check out Ashley's website. There's speaking and visits requests on here, so you can learn more about Ashley's speaking engagements, which I want to talk about before we hop off here. You can read more about her bio and her books and more portfolio images that I didn't share. So definitely contact her for learning more about her work. All righty. So, Ashley, so you do speaking visits. Tell us a
Mhm.
little bit, if you have like one tip that you want to give someone who is going to be doing speaking engagements in the near future, what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I think that everyone who goes to speak at schools is at an advantage because we've, again, all had different experiences. So talk about something unique about yourself. No two people are exactly the same. So, I talk about things that make me unique, and a lot of what I talk about is my love of art and how I'm so excited to share that with, whoever I'm speaking to. So yes, share, some kind of really fun personal detail about yourself, because that will instantly connect you to them, because they'll be like, "Oh, some people will totally relate. Some people will have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, but they're curious to hear about it." I'm actually getting ready. I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Las Vegas for school
Oh,
visits and a book festival. So it's been really fun to share my work with everybody like that.
yeah, yeah. That's exciting. And to be able to
Yes.
travel to do that as well. That's
Hmm.
probably a testament to how good of a speaker you are as well.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I love it. I'm very enthusiastic about this, so I love getting the opportunity to hang out with some kids and talk about art.
Hmm. Before we go, oh gosh, one thing I forgot to tell everybody too is that Ashley is also a volunteer with SCBWI.
Yes.
We very rarely get to highlight regional team members because it's just not enough time, But there's
I
so
know.
many talented people out there. So I wanted everybody to know that like SCBWI is run by people who are volunteers, and Ashley is one of
Hmm.
those volunteers. So um,
Yes.
if you're
Yes.
interested in learning more about that, please do. Ashley, before we go, tell us
Mhm.
about any books you want to tell us about that you haven't told us about, like one that's coming
Yes.
up, maybe.
Yes, yes. Well, I am thrilled because on November 18th, Little Red and Big Bad Fred will be hitting shelves. It is a fractured fairy tale. It's a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood, and it is so much fun and really funny. So, this is Little Red, and unfortunately, he thinks that the wolf is a dog and tries to keep him for a pet. That does
Oh,
not go over very well.
okay. Well, I can't wait to see what happens with that. Okay.
It's fantastic.
Excellent. So, Ashley, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Your energy is infectious, and I
Oh,
know that you sharing your books with us and with children all over the world. I'm gonna put that out there all over the world. Yes, I'm manifesting it.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, but I can see why, you know, your books have probably been very successful as well as you presenting them. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us and some of your art. And we look forward to seeing more about what you're creating in the future too.
Oh, thank you guys so much. SCBWI has a very special place in my heart. You know, I'm an SCBWI success story. There's so many of us who got our start through this organization. So I love to be able to volunteer and kind of give back to this organization that's given me so much. So I so appreciate you guys still supporting me, and all the illustrators out there who trust this organization to help them. So we appreciate it.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you. All right, well, we'll see you soon. You take care.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.